I remember the hypnotherapy session where I really like cleared a lot. I made a big breakthrough. And like, if people are listening to this and they're like, what is hypnotherapy? It's like a guided meditation, and it gets you just to like a relaxed state where the guards that are standing at the door of your subconscious, they go on break, and you're able to like actually get in there and work on stuff that you're subconsciously doing, right? Because if you're conscious of it, like, yeah, like it's sort of easy to tackle, but stuff that's happening subconsciously, it's hard to like stop those behaviors because it's just like running on its own. So hypnotherapy allows you to like put you in a relaxed theta brain state enough so that like you can go in there and work on your subconscious stuff.
Welcome back to Since 3000. I'm Danielle Leslie, and we are here today with one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Tara Reid. And I cannot wait for you to dial into our conversation. We have conversations all the time that go deep and far and wide. And you're going to see a glimpse into how incredible this woman is. She has built an amazing company, Apps Without Code, that has educated tens of thousands of people, helping them own the fact that they can build an app, that they can take an idea and turn it into something that can help so many people. She's also a trailblazer. She was one of the first people to make art collecting accessible to the masses. When I see her, I truly see a magician, a maverick, all the M's. And because of that, you know what? You know what I also love? What I also love about Tara. So you said this. You are the vibrational average of the 5 people closest to you. And what you're going to get to see in today's episode is what that truly means. When you're in proximity with someone who is vibrating high, what that brings out of you and calls forward in you. So I am so excited for you to get to know T even more deeply. You're going to see this transformation that she's going through, our obsession with identity, and all the things. So T, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to bring you today's episode, but before we do, I need to make sure you've heard about Member Up. So community-driven products are the future, but Facebook groups are a thing of the past. And after 10 plus years in the online education space, I've taken all my learnings and I've built this incredible platform, Member Up. It's a customizable, easy to use, all-in-one platform where you can build a premium course, community, or membership site without the tech headache. Gone are the days of having to duct tape together your content, your community, your payments, all on different platforms. I want you to do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and head over right now to memberup.com/Danielle. And you can get started for free today. I promise you, I can't wait for you to see this platform. It's beautiful. Okay, the design is amazing. Your community is going to feel at home here, and you are going to take pride in your online business. It is the place to start. Head over to memberup.com/Danielle. Now let's get into the episode.
I'm really excited for people to just listen in on a regular ass conversation that we have, which is always super deep.
Our conversations can get a little wild, so I don't know.
Very wild. I feel like we can take one word and go for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
just go
much.
deep. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what I so appreciate about you. I would say like one of my biggest lessons has been self-awareness and telling the truth in real time. I love how you created these archetypes for our friend group.
Yeah.
And you were like, what is mine?
I have no idea.
The authenticator.
The authenticator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, what that means is when you think about the authenticator app, you log in and you got to put in a code to say that you are granted access to your account because you've put in the proper code.
And
so
this
you
is
are
me.
telling the truth. That's what you do to people. When you are talking to them, you're like, oh, no. You haven't shared the real truth. Let me ask you another question to get the actual code to access what's really there.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying I'm nosy?
Ah!
Is that what you're saying? I am. That's fair. Fair enough.
So I think one thing we share in common is like a fascination around identity.
Yeah.
And I know you're in the middle of this amazing project
Yeah.
so first I want to ask you about the identity you're embodying today. And then I would love to hear about what you're doing right now with identity.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So, good question. I'm working through just identifying the different parts of myself. And where this came from, it came from me like experimenting with dating and realizing that I have been doing this thing where I'm like minimizing myself or simplifying myself for like basic guys consumption.
Wow.
So I was like, ooh, stop doing that. And it came from having like a couple conversations with people who had a lot of space for all of me. And the contrast of that, I was like, oh, like I need to step more into that. So I started sort of like journaling a little bit about like different sides of me. And the different components of myself, and they sort of started forming into characters, like alter egos. And so there's like thus far, so he's going to be an evolving project, right? But there's 3 goddesses, a superhero, and an inner child.
Ooh. Okay, we need to meet these people. Tell us.
Yes. Okay. So I'm focused now because there's a lot. So I'm focused on like the 3 goddesses, and I think like what I mean by that is just sort of like the regalness that I have inside of me. And I thought that there's actually like multiple. The one I'm probably most embodying today, and maybe sometimes it's like a mix, but I have like a Earth Warrior Queen. And usually I use her because sometimes I have to like put them on, or in the morning I like, who do I need today, right? In the morning, if I have like a bunch of meetings, I've got to like get through a thing. That's usually the character that I turn on. I started making playlists for each of the characters too.
Ooh.
So like on that particular playlist, there's some like Beyonce Homecoming.
Yes.
Right? There's this song by Nicki Minaj. It's like an old one. It's sort of, she has these like different characters too. I don't know if you've heard this, where she's like, I'm Nicki Minaj, Nicki the Ninja, Nicki the Hair Barbie, Nicki the Boss. She's got like all these
and
different...
she's the epitome of that.
She's got like all
character
these
play.
Characters.
Yes, in one song. She brings them all out.
But we all have that. Like, we're not one-dimensional, right? So I have my like Earth Warrior. I have like I call it like a water siren. This is one I've been playing with more, and I read that book Pussy by Regina.
Mama Gina. I don't remember her whole name, but Mama Gina.
Yes. Gina. And she had this activity, like this challenge to like, because what I noticed myself doing is like when men would look at me, I would immediately divert my eyes.
Oh, wow.
It's by habit. And so the activity was to like just flirt back. Like, you don't have to be attracted to them. Right. Just like
when you're at the coffee shop.
Yeah, just to like embody and be comfortable with your own sexiness. So like when I'm sort of doing that, I have this sort of like water siren kind of thing happening. And then there's another one, which is like my high priestess abundance queen. It's where like I feel like I've got like all the resources. I'm not feeling in scarcity. I get to share with my friends. I'm usually like very aligned and spiritually connected. So like those are my 3, and they come and play at different times. So that's what I've been sort of playing around with and working on.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So I love how you started the thread and you said what inspired you was when you were in dating, how you had certain people who could embody all the different dimensions of you.
Yeah.
And I related to that because I remember writing in my journal how I was looking for a man who could embody all that I am. And I said it takes a whole lot of men to hold all that I am.
Yeah.
And it had me think about the way of the superior man and the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And I was thinking that me, when I am in my essence, in my being, I am, well, becoming a new person from moment to moment, expressing myself differently from moment to moment. And the I am is truly I am, period. So there is no I am this, I am that, I am that. Because even that is limiting, but it's I am. So I'm like, yo, there's going to be somebody who needs to hold all of this in the evolution. And that is what I'm hearing with you.
Yeah, I think so. I'm working on it. I'm playing with it. For me, like the first step of playing around with it, I'm doing like a photo shoot of each of my personas just to sort of like step into it more. It almost like occurs to me as like performance art in a way of myself, right? So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. This is huge because so when we met, when you said abundance queen, there's no space for scarcity.
Yeah.
And I remember to ground it in even your business, because people who are meeting you for the first time, like, I want y'all to know this woman is a badass. Talk about like the most amazing, brilliant mind where you can traverse a math equation to building an app, like looking at code, figuring that out, teaching yourself all kinds of things. And I remember like conversations in our early days. So when I first met T, she was presenting on stage at the Lean Startup Conference.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And was the only Black woman on stage. Did a TED Talk like situation, and I was just like, oh my gosh, who is this woman? Yeah. And then I remember you were so just like expansive, and when you said abundance goddess,
yes,
it like transported me back to one of our earlier conversations, because I want to like ground this. I want them to understand the journey, because I've known you for, when did we meet? In 20, let me think, it had to
15?
be I was going to say 15. It was 15. Uh-huh. 2015. And so in these years, I have seen you evolve.
Yeah.
So
I'm a transformer.
You really are. Shapeshifter transformer. Mm-hmm. So I want you to share where, because we talked about abundance, where previously did scarcity show up for you?
Ooh. Okay, so scarcity definitely showed up a lot in my business, and particularly when I was starting, I felt it the most when I was starting my second business, when I was starting Apps Without Code. And I would do this thing where I would obnoxiously like refresh my sales dashboard. I was obnoxiously checking things, because I was like, the feeling was like, I'm doing okay, but I might mess it up. So like, let me see if I messed it up yet. That was sort of where a lot of the scarcity was coming from. And I think it impacted me because there were a lot of decisions that I was making where like I wasn't investing in myself. I wasn't investing in my business. Like I was really like, let me hold on to what I have. And I got a counterexample in you. And I had to do a lot of work in this, because you seemingly, right, and it's always like not that way inside, but from outside and as your friend, like you were really expanding, you were growing, you were investing in yourself was the main thing. Mm-hmm. So like I remember the time you were working with a lot of different coaches and learning from them and doing all of that, and I was like, that costs so much money, I'm not doing that. No way. And I got to watch you like growing and blossoming in this, and myself not. And at first, it showed up as some like jealousy. It showed up as like, oh, Danielle's doing that thing. Like it showed up in like a shadow way, like a not nasty kind of way for me. And I had to get real with myself that like, I'm not mad at Danielle. She's not doing anything wrong. I'm mad at myself for not doing those things. Like you gave me a mirror of my own scarcity issues. And I remember specifically there was a week where I had made, like, it was my first time making like $100,000 in a week. And that week I was supposed to get my nails done, but I was like, oh, I can't get my nails done because I want to get a little design on it. It's going to be too much money.
How much was it going to be?
I don't know, maybe like $40, $50. It didn't make any sense.
$100,000 a week, yeah.
$100,000 a week, I can't get my nails done, right? And that's when I was like, oh, I have a problem. Like there's a thing to work on here in my relationship with money, my relationship with success, my relationship with abundance. That was when I got really clear, but it was all happening like around that time. And I got referred to a hypnotherapist to work with. I didn't end up working with that hypnotherapist because I thought she cost too much money. I know, right. And then I happened to meet another woman who happened to be a hypnotherapist, and I was like, here's your window, girl. Like, you're not going to do it again. Don't do it again. It's a growth opportunity. And so I decided to work with her. We were working maybe for some months. I remember the hypnotherapy session where I really like cleared a lot. I made a big breakthrough. And like, if people are listening to this and they're like, what is hypnotherapy? Like, yes, I know when I used to think about hypnotherapy, I think about like, you know, this person with like the clock, like you're getting sleepy. Yeah, it's not that. It's like a guided meditation, and it gets you just to like a relaxed state where the guards that are standing at the door of your subconscious, they go on break. Ooh. Yeah, and you're able to like actually get in there and work on stuff that you're subconsciously doing, right? Because if you're conscious of it, like, yeah, like it's sort of easy to tackle, but stuff that's happening subconsciously, it's hard to like stop those behaviors because it's just like running on its own. So hypnotherapy allows you to like put you in a relaxed theta brain state enough so that like you can go in there and work on your subconscious stuff. So that's what I was doing. And I remember I had a specific session where I had a big breakthrough with my relationship with money. And so I was imagining myself, because you're just imagining yourself doing stuff. Sometimes I'm imagining myself, I have to go back to like 5-year-old Tara and ask her what she needs from me in order to like go on, what is it called? Like to retire from this decision, because like a 5-year-old decision is not helpful right here, and we grown now. Or sometimes I'm like imagining something more abstract. So this particular session where I made a big breakthrough with my relationship with money, I was imagining myself in a house, and my hypnotherapist asked me to allow the energy of money to come in. And she's like, what does it look like? And for some reason in my subconscious brain, the energy of money is like a pink Pepto-Bismol colored blob. I don't know. But if you like overthink it, you knock yourself out. So I was just like, just let it go.
Go with the blob.
Just go with the blob. Just go with the blob. So, okay, so then she's like, okay, expand it. Like, make it a little bit bigger. Because it was sort of like this big. It wasn't super huge. And we expanded it. And I kind of was like in the corner, getting kind of squished and feeling uncomfortable. And I realized that I could like lean on it a little bit. And it was like squishy, it was bouncy. And in fact, like I could like play with it, like bounce on it actually, and start like jumping, like bouncy house jumping on it. And I'm like, oh, like it's not like it can be playful. It's light, it's playful. I can manipulate it. I can move around with it. Like it's fine. And so I'm getting comfortable like jumping on this pink blob that's filling up my living room in the house. And she asked me to expand it some more. So now my only option is to expand the whole house. Like the house has to move. So I'm imagining myself expanding the house. And we do that a couple times, and I'm kind of like, my subconscious was getting, I don't know for some reason why that worked, but my subconscious got that like it could be fun, it could be playful, you can just expand it if you need more room. It's not a big deal. And that really like helped click something for me, but it's been a journey from me obsessively checking everything and worrying about everything to sometimes I still catch myself do that, and I can like let it pass now, like, oh, a bird, look. Right? I don't have as much attachment to it, but it's been work.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Wow. Thank
You
for
helped
breaking
me
that
with
down.
that.
Aw.
You helped me with that. You gave me like an alternative to like what it could look like. Do you ever feel like scarcity like that? I feel like we all have things that we're like our strengths and our weaknesses. That occurs to me as one of your strengths. That you're like, I'm comfortable, I'm held. Does it feel that way or no?
That's so interesting. How do I experience scarcity? So, wow. I think how it occurs to me is I've been bumping up against this a lot lately. Yeah. So when I think about the book, The Big Leap, I think hitting the upper limit, I think that helps me articulate how I experience it. Yeah. So you're right. I'll be the first one to drop money on a mastermind. Like, tempt me with a sale, I will give you the money. And I may or may not go on the trip that comes with the money, but I'm going to give you the money. So in those situations, it's a yes. I would say, I guess where I experience the scarcity is, and I guess what I see as possible for me. So when I think about every day waking up and knowing I really can dream the bigger big, be the bigger me, do anything, even like moving into a new industry, I guess that's when I experience it.
Yeah.
It gets scary when I know it's almost like it's one of those it's like the should conversation. I'm like, I should be able to see myself as this person who can dream the bigger dream.
Yeah.
And know that I can do anything. And when I'm not, I shame myself for it. And I'm like, why aren't we? Like, yes. What are we hitting up against? I've been referencing like J-Lo a lot. It's like J-Lo to me is the embodiment of being the cause and the effect. I think Dr. Joe talks about when we a lot of times as humans think about if this, then that. Yeah. And I think he talks about you seeing yourself as the cause. So I think what that means to me is she walks in her Versace dress, and she's like, this is what we doing. And then Google needs to invent Google Images because so many people are trying to search for this dress.
Yes.
That is the embodiment of being the cause, the effect. And when I think about her, I'm like, obviously I don't know her, but it's like, when I think about that, I'm like, okay, how can I get into the Versace dress and just walk into whatever room and say, this is it, we're here, this is what we're doing. Instead of being like, should I wear that? I don't know if that's for me, but I haven't done this yet.
Am I doing too much? What are people gonna think? Yeah, that's my favorite one. Like, I think I'm doing too much. Yeah, that's real.
And I guess for me, it's I'm not doing enough, and I don't know why I can't. It's I'm not doing enough.
Yeah. Got it. It's interesting how, like, we can all have a story, a narrative, right? I'm not doing too much, I'm doing enough. And it sort of equally gets in the way. And it's just sort of this, like, voice in the back of your head. And we're all just trying to develop this muscle of, like, looking at the voice and be like, thank you for your opinion. But that voice is not you, right? It's just, like, it's the insecurity, it's the doubt. But, like, it doesn't have to be you. I love that you're working through that.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I think I loved when you shared the story speaking about the different voices and versions of ourselves. When you shared the story of how you visited, I think it was your 8-year-old self, and you had a conversation with her. And I remember, and first I would love for you to like share that, because it was a couple weeks after that that I was able to visit with 6th grade Danny in a hot yoga session. And I was in a meditative state, the music was playing, and I was laying flat, and all of a sudden I was there, and it was real. And that lent to, like, 6th grade Danny is living, 60-year-old Danny is living, they're all living in different dimensions. We're in the eternal present. I can visit them at any time. I can have conversations with them at any time. And that was my first moment visiting with her. And I went right into my bedroom, and she was working on the science project on protozoa. And she was in the gifted class, Dr. Birch, and she felt the weight of the world. Like, it was do or die with this project. It was a 3-panel cardboard thing, and she had waited till the last minute. She was shaming herself. She was feeling bad. And it was that stress and weight of the world that I saw shows up and drives the bus as the grown-ass Danny, and feels the weight of the world and the stress and the anxiety. But it was because of the story you shared of you visiting and having a conversation with your version
forgot all about
of
this.
Tara. No way.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yes. And I was able to heal something in that moment. And now when I'm feeling it, I'm like, oh, got it. 6th grade Danny's coming. She's trying to drive the bus, and let her know we're good. Because in that moment I told her, like, you are so good. Yeah. You're so good. Like, you are so good. Like, you're good. We're good.
That's beautiful. This conversation too reminds me how important it is to, like, vulnerably share what you're going through with your friends, because you don't know what's going to inspire them to go, like, do their version of whatever that looks like for them, like their work. And if you're not sharing vulnerably with your friends, you almost are, like, robbing them from a learning or experience or a thing for them to get. Because, like, I didn't know that impacted you. Like, I'm glad I shared it now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I think what you're talking about is, and I did, we both did the Landmark Forum.
Yes.
Which is like a life coaching program. And so in that program, that was really like my catalyst for doing a lot of personal work. In that program, you sort of identify a moment in your life where you made a decision about yourself. And usually there's one, like, very young. Mine was like pre-kindergarten was the first one I can remember. There's another one. I think they say, like, for women, it's usually like middle school-ish. And for guys, often like early high school, where you make a decision about yourself. And then one, like, in early adulthood. And I'm not really sure my early adulthood one, but I know my first two. And the second one is where I had to go do some work that you're referring to. The first one was I was in pre-kindergarten. I had this friend named Erica, she just, like, learned some, like, racist stuff from her grandmother. who was raising her. And so we're playing and like we're pretending to be the princess. And she told me that I couldn't be the princess because I was black. And I'm a tattletale, so I cried and went to tell the teacher. And the teacher handled it really well. She was like, no, Tara could be the princess. She's all the colors of the rainbow put together. She's a different kind of princess. And my, like, how old are you pre-kindergarten? I don't know. My 4-year-old brain was like, oh, great. My value is being a different kind of princess. That was what I got from that, right? And so it's good and it's bad. The good part is that, like, I've essentially got to do something a different way. I've got to build a company called Apps Without Code. I've got to like do the contrarian thing, right? And it works for me in a lot of ways. And also sometimes there's a way that stuff like it works that way, right? Like there's a way that works well, and you can just do that.
You got to be contrarian on everything. You have to be
contrarian on everything. So like it's a strength and it becomes a weakness, but it's a thing that's sort of running. And then the other one was in middle school. I had this scenario where, like, there was a guy that I was dating. We went to a really small school. So there's a guy I was dating, like, it's middle school dating. So it's like, guy I was dating. And then he was dating my friend. And he had tried to, like, you know, kiss me or something when they were dating. And I told her. And she blamed me and had all the girls in the class stop speaking to me for the rest of the year. And I decided that I was going to, like, well, like, there's no one talking to me. So, like, let me go to, like, study hall. And, like, I'm going to work really hard to get into this competitive high school. And I decided in that moment that, like, I don't need friends. Hard work can be my friend. Subconsciously. It wasn't, like, consciously deciding these things. So the instance that you're talking about, I essentially had, it was, like, doing it through a meditation. But I went to my 8th grade classroom and sort of stood in the back of the room. This was one of my first experiences with really like time traveling and meditation too, going back in time. And so I remember in the meditation, I'm sitting in a chair and I go backwards in time to this moment. And I'm in the back of the classroom and I didn't want to like get too close to myself because I knew I was going to freak myself out. Right? So I just sort of sent the energy of like, you're okay. It's going to be all right. You got this. You got it. And sort of sent that reassuring energy to myself. But, like, that was for sure, I think, the instance that I had told you about. And I was like, Danny, I did try time travel.
Yes! And I was like, tell me more.
Yeah, that's right. And that was, I think, like, I was really just starting to get into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and some of his meditation retreats and stuff. And I was having those experiences, those, like, mystical experiences in meditation through that. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's been huge. What I have seen in myself is this change in how I define success for myself. And, you know, it started with growing up, whatever the North Star was that said you are achieving, it was that thing. So first it was the 4.0. It was being president of every organization, prom queen, ASB president, ICC president. Then having a business, it was revenue. It's like, oh, of course, this is the new North Star. It's revenue. How can I make the most money? And it wasn't until I was faced with, you know, breaking up out of this 7-year relationship and saying, okay, wait a minute. First, who am I without this person? And then I need space to answer that question, which means I need space for my business. So who am I without this business? Who is Danielle without Danielle Leslie Course from Scratch? And in that inquiry, my North Star shifted. Yeah. And I think first it went from the revenue to then saying, what does it look like to work 10 hours a week? And committing to that. And in 3 months, making that happen. Yeah. And now it shifted to self-expression. How can I be my most fully expressed self from moment to moment? Yeah. And that is the new barometer for success for me in my life. And what I want to know is, and we're going to get into the masculine and the feminine because that's a very masculine to feminine shift. But I want to know, like, how has your definition of success, because you've achieved so much. Like, it's wild. It is wild. So I want to know, how has your definition, what do you deem as success? Where did it go from? Where has it shifted to?
Yeah, I think I relate to what you're saying about like where it started, right? Like starting around like got to get this grades, got to get into school, got to like do the things that you feel like you're supposed to do. I know like growing up, my mom gave me like, you know how they have the ranked lists of colleges?
Yes.
She gave me that list. She put a line underneath where she went. It's like anything and above.
Wow.
Yeah, anything above. And my mom went to USC. It was like 26. So there
high.
wasn't that much room.
Right.
Anything above. So I think like that was sort of what I had gotten. And I think it was all good intent on her behalf. But my mom is definitely thinking about ROI on her investment. Right. So where's my ROI? And I think after you like check enough boxes, like it gets boring. It's boring. So I found myself getting bored at a point of the like accolades. Oh, like this sounds very privileged to say, but it's like another article is not going to be that exciting. Like another list that I'm on is not really that exciting. And it really, to me as well, is about like self-actualization, self-expression, becoming the highest version of myself, the most authentic version of myself. We were talking about being the authenticator.
Yes.
You were sort of saying I'm asking other people questions to get them authentic. Like it really comes from me feeling now I feel misaligned if I'm not being authentic and I'm not around people who are also being authentic. So like we gonna stay here and work on it until it feels aligned, because otherwise I'm gonna feel like uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable. And so what I've been doing is sort of just creating these little challenges for myself of getting more self-actualized, of asking myself like what would future Tara, like what's something that future Tara is already doing that current Tara is like terrified to do, but future Tara feels like it's no big deal. And crafting these little challenges and quests for myself to step into those things. Like I'll give you an example. Last year was the first time we had like a big potential acquisition conversation. A company reached out. We were talking about potentially selling apps without code. And as we were talking, I realized that the way that I feel about myself and my worth, like I couldn't even imagine what my life would look like if I had that dollar amount in my bank account. I couldn't really like wrap my head around that. And so I was clear that like I can't even confidently have this conversation until like I'm that future version of myself that I'm going to step into eventually. And so I crafted this little like challenge for myself. So I was like, what would I do? I would get like a really pretty house in LA, and I would have like a really nice spacious like dining room where I could like host dinner parties and where I can like be nosy with all my friends about all their lives, right? And also invite new people and interesting people and be nosy with She knows, you know me. And there were other things I would like. Some things I eventually took off the list, but I was experimenting. Like I would get my makeup done every day. It turns out that I didn't even really like that. I don't like makeup that much, but that was on the list.
Yeah, let's
try it out. I had like a list of things that I would do, and then I booked a flight to LA to go do those things. Oh, wow. So I like went on Zillow and like reached out to some properties I totally couldn't afford to go tour and go see them, to just like let's make it comfortable and feel normal. I like hired a makeup artist to do my like look for a little while. Like I was doing those things so that they felt like no big deal, so that I could easily make it happen. Because when you feel like it's a big deal, like you block it. If it feels unreachable, you're blocking it. If it feels like nothing.
What was it like to tour the homes? And were these like $2 million homes, $1 million homes, $500,000 homes? And what did that feel like?
Okay, well, I went in thinking like, oh, I'm gonna rent a place, and I had a rent budget, and I went to go see the rent budget places. I was like, oh no, this is not what I was talking about. Like if we're gonna do this, then like actually
really do it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, actually at this point it wouldn't even make sense to rent. Like people at that point, you just buy it, and if you want to move, you just sell it and make a little bit of money and you just buy another place. So I was like, okay, like maybe look at things for sale. And so they were like $5 million, $6 million houses.
So how did it feel walking through there, knowing, okay, future Tara is trying this on?
Yeah, well, I like nice stuff. So
Facts.
Once I got in there, I was
you were
like,
I feel comfortable.
This will do.
This will do.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually didn't feel, once I got there, I didn't feel super intimidated on the plane, on the way there. Like everything leading up to it felt really intimidating, but once I was in there, I didn't feel super intimidated. And I kind of at that point was like, you're in it now, just fake it till you make it, pretend you can afford this house, just, just go look around, see it.
Yeah.
But I think what it did was it gave me a clear like vision of where we're going, what's possible. And there were some things on that list that I took off because I was like, this isn't even me. I don't even care about this part. Take this off. I'm an ultra homebody, so like my home and my space, that some of those things stayed on there. But I think those are some examples of things that I've been working on to just like get to a more limitless version of myself, because those things that's not possible. That was like a limitation I added, right? And we're talking about self-expression, self-actualization, becoming the highest and best version of yourself. Like those have been some little challenges I've been giving myself. Also the challenge of the characters and the versions of myself and just expressing that without worrying about if I'm not doing too much. Is it, so those are kind of like examples of things I've been working on to it's really like undoing stuff you've learned to get to you, to get to me.
It's been proven that procrastination can be one of our biggest enemies to success. Now, contrary to belief, procrastination is not based on a lack of time management or organizational skills. Procrastination is directly linked to our emotions. Now, the reason I know this is because of Patty Johnston. Patty Johnston is incredible. She's a Course from Scratch member, but even more importantly, she's built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses once she learned how to overcome procrastination. So she's created a program where she shares her system on how to overcome procrastination, and it's based on emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and accountability. She's gonna show you step-by-step how to overcome negative feelings so you can start taking action and start seeing a difference from day one. So text this number right now to schedule an appointment with Patty and her team to see if this is right for you and what steps for you to take to overcome your procrastination. 813-789-1097. And again, the number to text right now is 813-789-1097. Let's all overcome procrastination together. Now let's get back to the episode.
One quest you gave yourself, one challenge was your birthday last year. That was your first time, I think, truly celebrating your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And it was phenomenal. Like, it really created a space where, and I was talking to Sean earlier, where it's like we truly became family.
Yes.
I want you to paint the picture for the people, what your birthday celebration was like.
Okay, great. The challenge for my birthday was to get out of my own way about what other people are going to think. So even though in reality, like all my friends were happy to just like do whatever and celebrate my birthday with me with whatever.
Was it what other people were going to think or what you were going to think?
Well, it's really like what I think that you're going to think, because you're probably not even thinking that in reality. Right.
Got it.
So it's really like what I thought that you were going to thought that we were going to think. That it was like a whole web I had created. Yes. Right.
Got it.
And this is quick side note, a thing that I'm working through right now, because I see this in like family members and like my mother in particular, where I see where I got the like, oh, you created a whole nother reality web of some things happening, some things not. But like that's the thing I'm working through in general. But in this scenario, it was like, don't worry about what they think. Create the experience that you want and that is an expression of you. And to celebrate your 30th birthday is what it was. So we went to Dominican Republic. I randomly felt called to go there. I do not know why. I didn't really second guess it. I was like, whoop, that's the answer. That's what we're going to do. All right, not overthinking it. By the way, like I overthought a lot of things, so I'm going to make it seem like I didn't. In fact, I'm very grateful that my friends have flexible ability to travel, because I sent that invite out like real late. And the reason why was because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're going to say. So like,
I remember that.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And so we went to there. We had this really beautiful villa.
So beautiful.
Yeah. It was just us. There may be 7 of us, something like that. 7 of us. And okay, we did all kinds of things. We had like a sort of visioning of our next selves ceremony that we did. And we even like we kind of all were given a card. Cosmic did this. Someone came in to do this with us. And so we were each given a different expression format: song, dance, or some of the rap,
like spoken word.
Yeah. And we had to like create a thing about our future selves.
That was so good because it was a mirror. In particular for me.
Yeah.
Because she gave us this and it was so uplifting and it was like great. And then as soon as we got the assignment, I shut down. I remember I napped. I was in the corner. I was like, can I sleep? And it was little Danny being like, I'm overwhelmed by this challenge. I feel the pressure. It has to be perfect. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to write. I'm going to nap. I'm going to go to sleep.
Yes.
So it was so amazing.
It's like Sean's going to come out. He's going to have a full production.
Exactly.
Mine's not going to be a full production. He did. Right. He did.
It was so good.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So like we did that activity. I think I like created my like high priestess abundance queen persona in that activity. Ooh. Actually. And then we also had, we like went on this like, plantation with a plot of land. We did like a cooking class and we're like learning about their culture. We also, what else did we do? We had a clothing optional pool party.
So fun.
Which is very me. So
Yes.
let's just be free.
Absolutely.
What else? We did lots of stuff.
The cenote.
Oh, we
so
did the dinner
magical.
in the cenote, and then
it was
we
only
did
us there. Like we walked down the stairs, and it was like
in the middle. Yes.
And there was like water at the bottom. We're the only ones in there, and it was like the rock was lit up with like a blue light, and we just walked down the stairs as the live music, the live band was playing just for us.
Just for us.
And then there was a table, and there's like a body of water, and surrounded by rock formations. And we're in this cenote, and there's a table just for us.
Yes.
And there was dinner. The food was amazing.
Well,
like
we didn't eat it. We didn't eat it.
We didn't. We were on another level.
We were on another level. Didn't quite get eaten, but we ate it later. We took it to go.
We took it to go.
It was just
like,
so much vibrancy.
Is everything? We're like,
they were really worried.
It's great.
Right. They were worried that everything was okay.
Yes.
We were having a good time.
And it was amazing. We were having too good of a time. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. And then we had the dinner where we dressed up as like the celestial versions of ourselves. Yes.
Oh my God, that was
yes. Sean sent me to plan for the party. He sent me questions, a little questionnaire.
Wow.
And one of the questions was like, how do you want people to feel when they arrive, and how do you want the people to feel when they leave? And I really wanted people to feel like they stepped into the next version of themselves. Like I didn't want it to just be my birthday. I wanted it to be like our birthdays, and it was like a portal. Ooh. That was the intention. And I didn't tell anybody other than Sean. Sean knew, but I didn't tell anybody that was the intention. And afterwards, like, that's what everybody was saying.
What happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Can you see birthday baddie? Is that visible? I love that, like, we're talking about your birthday, and that every day, like, you turn that into a birthday for everyone, because every day truly is our opportunity to be reborn, rebirthed. Like, you opened that portal and you made it not just on your birthday, but it was a reminder, like, every day can be that portal to be reborn and rebirthed.
Yeah. I try to create, like, portals for myself often. I travel a lot. I feel like the easiest placement for me of a portal is when I'm leaving a trip. And like, our friend group, we, like, meet up quarterly, maybe a little bit more often. We all live in different cities.
You got satellite events.
And then we have satellite events. That's right. I just came back from a satellite event in Aruba. That's right. And even from the satellite, the event that I just came back from, I just flew from Aruba. Like today, when I was leaving, I was very pensive because I was like, what did I learn? What was there for me to get? For me, it was like being with, so my mom invited me on her girls' trip. And I was like, I'm not going to go on your girls' trip, but I'll go at the same time as your girls' trip.
Where's the girls' trip?
It was in Aruba.
Oh, God.
It was her girlfriends.
Oh, wow.
My mom's girlfriends, she invited me, but I was like, I don't want to be on your trip, but I'll come same time as your trip. I'll be adjacent to your trip. Because they have like a strict agenda. They're like, we have lunch then they have like...
facials?
Not facials. They have like dress up. They have like tonight's the white night, and we're gonna do the photo shoot. And the night's it's too much. It's too much. But I got in like being with my mom. I got a good mirror, right, of like things that I see in myself, both good and things I want to challenge in myself. And so I was really pensive about that this morning, and that was a portal for me too, right? It was a reminder to be kind to myself. It was a reminder to like not create too much story about what's happening, what's not happening. And I got a mirror and I got to like journal about it. But that was a portal for me too, right? I think like life is always throwing you portals. You ever seen Monsters Inc., that movie where they've got the like door, there's like a, like, you know, you go to the cleaners and they've got that like dry cleaners, the revolving dry cleaner thing. It's like in Monsters Inc., there's a bunch of doors on it and they're all portals. So it's like a revolving thing of doors. And I think that that's always happening. Like there's always a portal there for you. And like most people just never open any of the doors. They just kind of like sit there and watch the portals come past.
Ooh.
And for me, I've committed to like, let me go through as many as I can. Because as soon as you go through one, you're in another space and there's another conveyor belt of doors. Like it's never ending. And you get to like grow, because as you go through them, like you get power-ups, like a video game. Like you get bigger, you get stronger as you go through these challenges and these growth moments. And so for me, I've committed to like, let me open up as many doors, challenges for myself as possible. But the portals are always there. You don't have to like do a big birthday for the portals. Like the portals are there.
I love that. As you were saying that, I had a visual, and as you're opening the doors, you're getting closer and closer to the center. Yeah. Like the center. What's in here already.
Yes.
Like getting closer and closer to the center, to like the essence, the purity, the truth.
Yeah, of you. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it requires doing a scary thing, because I think like and I'm like on Monsters Inc. now. There's like the little monsters are at the door, like the scary guys are at the door, so you have to like get past the monster, right? Even Tari and I talk about this often, of like getting past the monster but like you get past the monster and you like get points and you get like bigger and stronger. You get like a bad power pack of extra skills that you then get to like go into the next thing with.
I often talk about the different levels. This is so interesting. And I think about like Mario Brothers and how you would go through the level and like, and you get to the end of the level and it was linear because it was an old school game, and you're linearly going and you reach the end and there's a boss that you need to defeat at the end of the level. And you defeat the boss because you gained all these points and you got some things and you got the mushroom or whatever, and then you defeat the boss and then you level up and you go to the next level. But guess what? You get to the end of that level and there's another boss, a bigger boss.
They get bigger. But you get less scared.
Maybe.
True. You're right. Sometimes you're right. You're still scared. It doesn't go away.
And there's times when in my life I thought I defeated the big boss at level 4, and then a year later I'm like, wait a minute, this is the same boss I thought I defeated. We here again. We here again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it like kind of comes up differently, because I don't know that we ever like, when we're doing our personal work, we ever like get rid of a thing fully. We get rid of a scary thing. We get rid of a trauma. I don't know that we ever get rid of it. You just kind of like get as much as you can, weed it out. And it usually comes back in some capacity, except the next time you can be like, I know what this is. I've seen this weed before.
You have a name for it.
You have some tools for getting around it. You know how it operates a little bit. And so it shows up differently, because it can come back looking different, right? But you have a little bit more tools. One of the things that I'm still working on is finding this like balance of masculine and feminine energy in my business, and also just my self-expression. I think self-expression and business are now starting to like merge a little bit more. But that balance has been something I'm working on, and I have on my whiteboard like sticky notes of like quests that I'm on, things that I'm working on, and sort of stepping into my feminine is one that I had to be intentional about doing, because leading up to here in my career, I've relied a lot on my masculine energy. To like, we got to get it done. Where's the spreadsheet? Where are the numbers? I was making decisions maybe that weren't intuition based.
Can you break down? I think there's a lot of definitions about what is masculine versus feminine that can sometimes get tied up in gender norms, when really they might be a little bit different. So if you could break it down in your terms, when you talk about masculine and feminine, what does that mean?
Okay. I think when I think about feminine, this is a good question, because sometimes people are like, oh, pink, right? That's feminine, right? When I think about feminine, I think about intuitive, creative, wild in a good way. Like, I think we have a negative connotation.
I love wild.
Right.
I was about to get a tattoo that said "Stay Wild," like right here.
Of course you were.
You know what I'm saying?
You didn't get it?
No.
Oh.
It was a good thing I didn't.
It was too wild.
Have somebody write it, and they're writing and get it.
It didn't.
And they may or may not be in my life forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. But hey, it embodies "Stay Wild."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That would have been wild. You're right. You're wild. You know, we can do it another way. Yeah, so like intuitive, creative, and by the way, like men have that too. We all have masculine and feminine, right? And then when I think about masculine, I think about like decisive, structured. I think about like organized in a way, and we all have that too, right? We have both. And for me, I think the messages that I heard growing up and in business and in starting my business was like the thing to do to be successful is be in your masculine energy. I don't think I like heard that literally, but that was the message coming across.
Yes.
And I had to make an intentional choice to explore more of my feminine. I think it started off, the wording I was using was become more. And I've shifted the wording to explore more because I felt, here's what the journey was. It was like I was really in my masculine, making very, like, that was how I was running my business, for sure. And then in experimenting with being more in my feminine, it was more of like, what does my intuition say? And I would like lean on, for example, like Angela, who runs my marketing and my team, like I will often say like, here's what my gut says about what we should do. Can you run the numbers to go see like if it supports that? But like here's what I'm feeling. Right?
I love that.
Or I've been working on this project to design a new software, and we're gonna get together in like a house and sort of creatively design all of it, right? And so I'm creating more spaces for myself to be like creative, to be in my intuition, and it doesn't have to make logical sense. It can make illogical sense, right? I think like a lot of people think like the word illogical is a bad thing. Like sometimes there's not a whole rhyme or reason. It just feels right.
Yes.
And for me, I hit a point where my business was no longer fun, and the shift of me being more in my feminine made it more fun again.
Yes.
I got back the joy in being more in that. And I was exploring that in like all areas of my life, not just in business, but it kind of poured in.
So I love this framing of how we are taught that masculine energy is something we can harness to achieve success. When I think about reading Do Less by Kate Northrup, that was like a turning point for me, where she broke it down to where mostly like I would say the Western culture in America, where the workday was actually designed around the man's biology.
Yeah, like a 24-hour kind of.
Exactly. They have a 24-hour cycle. So the cycle we usually talk about is the woman's cycle, which is a 28-day cycle. What we don't talk about is men have a cycle too. It's a 24-hour cycle.
Right.
So we both have cycles, but our 28-day cycle, aka our period, we going there.
Yeah.
Looks like for 1 week, I may be lethargic, self-doubting, out of it, scattered mind. Yeah. The next week, I may be super creative and want to do all the things. The next week, I'm super productive, high energy, blah, blah, blah. The next 2 weeks, like that. Yes. That is a 28-day cycle. And for a man, and that is, estrogen-led, for an individual who has testosterone, they are in that same cycle, but it's in a 24-hour period. So for the first 2 hours of the day, they're lethargic, they're just waking up. The next 8 hours is high productive, go, 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 let's boop, boop, boop. And then the end of the day, it is maybe a little bit creative, and then we're gonna wind down. So it's in a 24-hour period, and guess what that matches? A work day.
Yep.
And guess what that doesn't match? A 28-day cycle.
Yeah.
That over half the population has. And so I found myself plopped into a world that was not created or designed with me in mind or by me.
Yep.
And we're like, we need to show up every day and produce on that schedule. By 10 a.m., pop it out. By 6 a.m., be ready to check out. Maybe 3 p.m. lull. And that was such a turning point for me to realize, oh my goodness, no wonder I have to like will myself and force myself and all the things. And I remember when I was working my full-time job, like calling in sick. And oh my God, this was such a big moment. I was working in a startup, and I came back into the office, and I had taken off the previous few days. And I remember his name was Kyle, and he was so sweet, one of my coworkers. And he's like, "Oh, you were out." And I was like, "Yeah, I was sick." And he's like emotionally? And I was like, "Yeah." I don't even think I was aware that I was out because I was emotionally sick, that I was depressed, which was probably linked to me feeling shame around the fact that I was feeling tired, that I was having cramps, or I was feeling lethargic, and I had these like scattered thoughts. So in reading that book, I was like, oh my goodness, we have a completely different biology that is not supported by all the institutions in this world that we've created, which is one of the beautiful things about running our business. But it was interesting because when I first started running my own business, I was still subscribing to this world that was not designed for me to thrive. Because how would they know? And so it wasn't until recently when I realized, oh my goodness, like we can actually have a conversation and be open that here's where I'm feeling, here's where I'm at. Let's design my month around what's going on.
So years ago, I hired a coach to help me with this. Her name is Shara, and she helped me map my menstrual cycle to my like work calendar. And so she helped me see that there's like 8 different phases that I'm going to be in throughout a month. And if I can, there's some days where like there's a thing you have to do. But if I can, particularly as a business owner, move my calendar around, there's different phases for different things. So there's a phase usually like right as my like period is like ending, where I'm in like, and she gave me like muses for them, right? Like people. So like it's my Serena Williams vibe. Like I'm ready to like hit any of the balls. Like I'm ready to go focused, right? And there's periods where I wouldn't even call it, like I've been challenging myself around calling it lethargic. It's like I'm integrating the information. It's not time to be doing a thing. I'm processing, I'm channeling. That's the time for that. And there are times where I'm super creative. I'm in my like J.K. Rowling, that's her name?
Yes.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling. So she gave me these like muses for each of them so I can know who I'm channeling at each of those phases. But that made a really big difference. And I'm actually really glad that you said that, because I almost forgot that I used to be like, oh, I got to do this thing today. I mean, there's some things I do have to do today. It happens. But in general, I'm trying to like ride a wave and surf. So I know that if there's a big project for me to do, there's, for example, like a proposal I have to write, the wave is going to come where I'm super inspired to do it.
Yes.
And if I try to force it right now, it's going to take 5 hours to do. If I do it when the wave is here, maybe 20, 30 minutes, boom, 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 I'm in and out. Right? It's going to be like inspired. It's going to be easy. And so in general, that requires you to work in advance, right? You can't wait last minute to do it, because then you're like on a time crunch. But if I can work in advance, I can ride waves better based on where I am and where it's in flow. And that for sure has helped me a lot, because I'm not interested in the forcing of it. It just makes it harder for everybody.
Right? Oh my gosh, I love this. Just the importance of the people closest to you. So Helen is my chief of staff.
Yeah.
And she's my right-hand person. And I would say she is one of the first people in my life who has consistently asked, how are you feeling? How does this make you feel? Scheduling things like this. Yeah. I remember last year we did a photo shoot, and I remember her planning it around my cycle, like letting her know. But I think what it also takes is for us to be self-aware and to say this is going to impact us, but also to have the people around us to ask the questions and give us space and permission to say that.
Yes.
So what was a part of the equation was, oh, okay, our cycle is starting here. PMS is going to be the week leading up to it. What happens during PMS typically? Now, can I be my highest self and, be meditating and transcendentalizing and all the things? Okay. Yes. And in that state, we may be good. We may be Gucci. However, we may not be.
Yes.
So to plan for that and knowing, okay, well, if this is going to be the week leading up to it, let's do it the following week.
Because that week I'm in bed watching TV.
Right? We on Netflix.
Netflix. I love TV.
So I think also as entrepreneurs, as women, as men, whoever,
Yeah.
for us to realize like the importance of having people in proximity who are actually checking on how are you feeling, how does this make you feel, and being able to create situations for you to win without even needing to ask.
Yeah, that's right. And if you don't have that already, to ask for it.
Yes.
Right? Like I remember a point with my team where I was like, I'm going to be sort of sourcing a little bit more intuitively. And I remember a point where like they would sort of be like, why are we doing this? And I was like, I didn't feel comfortable just saying like it's gut. I felt like, oh, that's like,
explain it.
I felt like I could explain or justify. And I had been leading that way, like a more masculine way up to that point. So it felt different. And I had to get comfortable just saying like, it just like, that's what feels right. Because the thing is that like is when we have superpowers, right? That how it feels is a superpower. It's not a distraction. It's not a like inconvenience. It is a superpower because our feelings are the compass. It's like no. Like when you feel bad, it's because you are you're going the wrong way. It's the compass. So that is a superpower, and checking in with yourself, like you're saying, and having people around you, like that's leaning into that superpower that we have.
Yes, I love that you called out, I'm hearing this distinction between body and mind. And we went to a human design workshop. Of course, we like nerding out on the human design. And so there was one in Brooklyn a few days ago. And he made that distinction between the body and the mind. We are trained to really uphold the mind as a superpower, as the all-knowing.
Logical, I figured it out.
And I thought about the way I was raised, and I was like, oh yeah, I was raised to be rational, to explain, be able to explain things. And what I'm learning is that statement of it doesn't feel right is a complete sentence.
Yes.
And us owning and embodying that is the first step of us saying, no, this doesn't feel right is a complete sentence. Yeah. And then helping educate those around us why. There I'm going back to the explaining. We don't have to explain why, but you know,
just telling them that you're going to be doing that.
Yes.
That I'm going to be leaning into how I feel about it. You just say that. That's enough.
But we could also educate them on, you know, the distinction between mind and body. But you know, once they know, it doesn't feel right as a complete sentence.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I had hired a therapist. This was like a massive fail on my part because I fired him. But mainly because he was challenging me and it was a lot of work. That was why. But what I got, he was trying to help me. So mainly I asked him to help me be more in tune with how I feel about stuff. This was really in the height of me trying to step more into my feminine. Because that distinction of like mind and body, like I was very much in my mind, and still am in a lot of ways. And he gave me a new distinction too, that like feelings is actually a feeling in your body. Like you can say I feel sad, but like a feeling actually feels a way in your body. So he was saying, I'm not going to ask you how you feel anymore. I'm going to ask you where you feel. And it took me like a couple weeks to like even understand what he was talking about. Like, what do you mean? I feel fine. I don't feel anything. But like sort of understand, okay, no, actually like I feel a little like tension here, or like when so it's really like where, when you ask yourself how you feel, where the first thought goes in your body, right? That's where you're feeling a thing, like wherever it goes instantly. And sometimes you have to quiet your mind to get there. And so it took me a couple of weeks to even like get to this. But that's sort of talking about what you're talking about, like how you feel, not just like I feel happy, I feel sad, but you also like feel a thing in your body. And that's another level of like really tuning into it.
Absolutely. And I think it's when we say this doesn't feel right, what I want to caveat that with is there's also the work that comes with that to understanding the why. Because I thought when I said that, I was like, oh, but that's me having a scapegoat, being like, this doesn't feel right, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's like, true.
And we need to do the work of understanding, oh, is this 6th grade Danny showing us? So it's all...
Yes.
So just
sometimes it doesn't feel right because there's some like trauma in there.
Exactly, that we need to work through. But at least we know the distinction, mind, body, all of that. I love you. That's something, you were the first person, I think, to say that to me as a friend.
What?
that I return. I love you.
Oh, I do
Isn't that
love
wild?
you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. I want to tap into what's true for you right now. And I would love for you to share your truth.
I'm a lot, and that's beautiful.
Cheers to that.
Salud.
I love that.
Yeah, that's my truth. What's your truth? I'm not supposed
This
to
is my
ask.
show. I don't got to share. Girl.
You right, bitch. True.
I am grateful. I'm so grateful for your friendship and for you sharing yourself with me and your gifts with me. I'm really, really grateful. You continue to teach me lessons. Even when you don't realize you're teaching me lessons, you respond to how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking before I even say it.
Yeah. Ditto, kiddo. I'm happy to be your friend.
Because we were on Since 3000, we're going to do Drunken Future.
Ooh.
We are going to tell our futures. We're going to intoxicate ourselves by our futures.
Okay. I'm here for this.
Let's go. So feel free to talk about Tara in the third person. In the future, what is Tara doing? Where's she at? What she got going on in her life? What it look like?
Okay, so I immediately thought about, I always talk about how excited I am to be like 60. My locks are getting kind of gray. I just feel like I'd be sexy with some gray locks. Yes! And I'm like hitting that point where like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
You ain't hit that yet?
I think there's another level. There's
interrupting you.
another level of like, I'm 60 and like, you can't tell me anything. And like, I'm confident regardless, right? So like, maybe I can get it early I get to host really great like events and parties with my friends and people I love. They're still small groups because I don't be liking everybody. But I'm with people that I love and we've got lots of freedom and understanding of each other. And I have sold a couple companies by now and I get to like sit on boards and advise cool things and cool projects and I get to like fund my own creative things that I'm working on and like they just give me life and energy to be in my feminine creating. That could be like software, it could be businesses, it could be like just performance art, definitely performance art. And I'm doing what I'm getting ready to do, which is that every quarter I get a house in a different part of the world and invite friends to come hang. So we switch it up, but I still have a home base. It's probably in LA. Both of those things, all the above, because abundance.
Yes.
And I have impacted and helped so many people, particularly inspire them to do their like introspective personal growth. And I've created abundance and freedom for my family and future family. I did this activity of like, imagine you're 90 and you're sitting in a rocking chair. What do you want friends and family to say about you? For me, it's really two things that I like created financial opportunities. I changed the trajectory, the socioeconomic trajectory of my family. And also that I did my introspective personal work. People like no, Tara did her work. And that she shared that with the world. So I really am in the middle of or I'm doing those two things.
Thank you for sharing.
You gonna share yours or no? Because it's your show. Okay.
I would love to share. Danielle is fully self-expressed. She's definitely still expressing herself through her clothing, her fashions, dressing in themes, going to themed parties, creating themed parties to where she can dress up and others can. Inspired by Sean, inspired by her friend
Sean
group.
party.
Yes. Sean is there. Tara is there. Our friend group is there. And Danny has a book and has talked on a lot of stages. I actually want to do that, right? And I think a lot of collaboration. Just, I have done things like this where I've let the world in on the intimate conversations where so much growth happens and impacted the way. So something I think a lot about is what are the things I wish I was taught when I was in school. And with the world evolving so quickly, I'm like, what would it look like to bring all my friends in, have them teach different things? So by this time I've had kids and they've been taught by my friends because my friends have done the work. My friends are self-aware. And I've brought them in to teach my kids. I probably world schooled them. So we've lived in different places around the world, and I've had my friends come in and teach them at those different parts.
Community.
And there's no separation. Like, they're 14, but they feel like they're your peer because we are talking to them because guess what? They came here with the same amount of wisdom and knowing that we came here with. Mm-hmm. We just happen to be in these physical bodies longer than them, but there's so much we can learn from them. So they're interacting with Auntie T as a peer and like, hey, Auntie T, so can you tell me what you think this means? Yeah. Is the sky really blue? Like, what does that mean to you?
Sometimes it's green.
Exactly. It depends on how you're looking at it, what time of day, what's your mood like, because that's going to impact how you see the world, how you see the color of the sky.
Which dimension you're in.
So I see all those conversations happening.
That's great. Yeah. I've never heard you share that before. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing because we have conversations like this all the time.
Yes.
We can really go deep and go far. There's even more I wanted to talk to you about, but I had to reel it in. And I'm just glad that the world got to get a peer in on this conversation, but also in your evolution as an individual. There is so much that you've already contributed to this world, and you're just getting started. And I love watching you blossom. And so for everyone watching, they're going to want to know more about you and what you're doing. And where is the best place for them to find you?
Probably on Instagram. So at TaraReed _REED. And then I also run a company called Apps Without Code, which you can also find on social. Apps Without Code.
Yes. Thank you, T.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
It's been fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Aww. We did it.
I love you. Since 3000.
Since 3000, I love you. Yes.
Listen.
Just feel it up.
I was at 13. Wait, did we? So we were only 3 short?
Yes.
Okay, that's not bad.
Oh, we already talked to that.
Oh, wow. Dallin, do you remember when you came to LA and we were supposed to do how many? 24? We were supposed to do a lot. I feel like more than this. And he came and it was like 2 days blocked off. And on the first day, we start filming and I get on to like the 4th video. And these are like 5 to 10 minute videos. And I'm just in my head doubting myself. And I was like, Dallin's like, no, you're doing great. No, that was awesome. Like what you just did. And I was like, no, it's not right. And then I was like, I need a break. I go upstairs, I cry my eyes out. And then my 2 team members console me. And then I was like, tell him to go away.
And then I was like, it's me. I think that helped. No, honestly though, before you went upstairs, your body language changed. And I knew you needed space just to take a break.
You think so Dallin out here with the EQ?
Right?
With the EQ.
It was, oh my gosh. And then they're like, well, we'll just, see how you feel and play it by ear. And then we call the whole next day off. So we got like 4 episodes out of like 24 or something. But just to show the evolution. I did the day before. I was like, I was partying. So I wasn't regulated on the nervous system. I didn't know myself. I didn't have the self-mastery I have now. That's minor detail.
It is so nice and refreshing to see you be who you are. Mm-hmm. Like it is just something to create an opportunity for the rest of us who are trying to walk the journey that you have already led yourself through. And even though you're still evolving,
feels good.
You being vulnerable and sharing your story gives us an idea and a hope to do that.
Aww.
So thank you for doing.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, friends like T have helped accelerate this process.
I was just thinking, I'm really glad that you have people around you who are like going to give you the long-winded feedback, because I'm like, it was good. Danny told me I text like a dude. She was like,
She
you don't
really
use enough
does.
emojis. It's a long message.
She has no punctuation at the end,
okay.
no exclamation points.
No energy.
You started adding emojis though. You started
Because
doing
you
it.
told me my emoji game was slacking.
I'm like, I know her, but I was like, we were on a group text, and I was like, excuse me, I side texted her. I was like, T, this person thinks you're an asshole. Can you like add an emoji or
I don't
something?
have time for that.
That extra
Listen, hey, give me my nanoseconds. Y'all know what I mean.
Aw, thank you.
Love you.
All right. Ooh, I love you. That's something. You were the first person, I think, to say that to me as a friend.
What?
That I return. I love you.
Oh, I do
Isn't that
love
wild?
you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love you
I'm
lots,
not
girl.
Yeah.
Like I'm not in the whole touchy
That's
feely.
a thing. We're not really, but like, yeah.
Love you a lot.
No.
Love you a long time.
Listen, sometimes life be lifing, and we do not know what's coming down that road next. Well, that's what happened to me in 2016 when I was unexpectedly laid off from my job. And I was 6 figures in student loan debt. I had no savings, and I didn't know what was gonna happen next. Now, luckily, I had this little voice inside of me at that time that I couldn't ignore, and it was telling me to take the leap. It was saying, use this as your opportunity to build your business. Use this as your opportunity to create your dream life. And so I believe that life happens for us, not to us. And that nudge in my spirit, I should listen to it. Luckily, I did. Fast forward to today, I have a business that's made over $20 million, and I've helped over 10,000 people create their online businesses and their dream lives. So do you want to learn how to turn your story into an online product and launch in 30 days? Head on over to coursefromscratch.com/since3000. I want you to join us on this journey so you can listen to that little voice inside of you too. So go now, do yourself a favor, coursefromscratch.com/since3000.